What's up, friends? My name's Georgie. I'm a breathwork and performance coach, helping people gain core confidence through the power of the breath. It is awesome to have you listening in to the Just Breathe podcast, where I'll be talking all things breathing to help empower you guys to use the power of your breath to harness your bodies and minds. So today is a cheeky solo episode. It's just me and you, and I've whacked a bit of breath work in there because there are so many wellness podcasts out there nowadays. There's even so many breathing podcasts, but I don't come across many that actually feature a bit of breath work in. So I thought we could all take a breath before we dive in to the little nugget of wisdom I wanted to share with you. And it's not my wisdom, it's wisdom that was brought upon me from a wonderful conversation I actually had earlier today. It's Sunday today, and I had a really lovely conversation with an osteopath called Matt Martin. I'm getting him on the show, and I think I said this in the recording anyway, so I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm going to leave it to the episode, but he's an awesome guy, and he really got me thinking about something that I think is relevant to all of us, so I wanted to share. I'm not going to say any more, but it's really poignant and really relevant. A little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Just Breathe podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please do whack that subscribe button and hit the little bell. I've got some awesome guests coming up for you guys, so I don't want you to miss the next awesome, breathing, wellness, empowering, inspiring conversation. All right, let's crack right on with today's little nugget of wisdom, conversation with just me and you, and a bit of breath work to begin with. And by the way, you can do this breath work anywhere. If you're walking along, commuting, driving, just chilling out, you can do it absolutely anywhere, so no worries about that. This is episode 50, the big 50. Whoop whoop. Thank you so much to everyone who supported the podcast so far. I hope you enjoy this one. As I said, some amazing conversations coming your way. We are not done yet talking about the breath because there's just so much to talk about. It's the most universal language on the planet. So I think I'm going to be sat here chatting about this for a good few years to come. Anyway, I really hope you enjoy the episode. This is episode 50 of Just Breathe with me, your host, Georgie Lawlor. Enjoy! So this solo episode was born out of a conversation I had literally 15 minutes ago with a wonderful guy called Matt Martin. I'm going to get him on actually because his words of wisdom are just second to none, absolutely wonderful. Literally, I was speaking to the guy for about 45 minutes. We were talking about collaborating, etc., and just generally geeking out on physiology and breathwork. He is an osteopath who has had some incredible mentors and seen many wonderful parts of the world, and is just fascinated by humanness and health and how we can get more in touch with ourselves and become more empowered to improve our health. He said something really interesting that I think is very relevant, and I really wanted to just come on and share, but it'll be really exciting to get him on the podcast to elaborate and get a full discussion going. Now, seeing as this is a solo episode, I thought it would be quite nice to start by taking a breath together. There's so many podcast episodes about well-being and even about breathwork and meditation, but there's not that many where during the episode you actually take a breath together. So I thought I would pop that little thing in so that we can really both get the most out of this conversation that we are having, me to you, the listener, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. And I really hope that what I'm learning on my journey can inspire you and to have an experience that you can learn from
yourself. I truly think podcasts are wonderful, wonderful things. Language is a wonderful, wonderful thing to empower, inspire, and just really elevate people to take control of their health and their lives. So let's all start by taking a breath. So it really doesn't matter where you are. You might be walking, you might be commuting on a bus or a train, you might be driving, doesn't matter. Just make sure you are nice and open and relaxed in your body. So if you are walking along, just make sure that you're not holding claws or fists for hands, etc. Now, let's just imagine a string lifting us up from the top of the head. If you're watching the video, you can see my body language and follow. And let's imagine the shoulders falling gently away from your ears. Imagine your shoulders dropping a little bit closer towards the earth. Release front, sides, and back of your pelvis. Yes, even if you're walking, no butt clenching. Make sure your belly is soft. Remember, the Buddha was not fat. The Buddha was relaxed. Those are not my words. They are the words of the incredible Simon Borg-Olivier. Check him out if you haven't already. Let's gently bring the lips together. Let's place the tip of the tongue gently on the roof of the mouth. And let's start to breathe in and out through the nose. And I'm really about normalizing breath work. I was just saying to Matt that phrase that I bang on about, integration over interruption. So I'm not going to invite you to close your eyes this time, just so this can be really applicable to everyone. Of course, if you want to, please do close down your eyes. I'm not against eye closing, but I want this to become a part of everyone's day to day, not a practice where you have to sit in this certain position and close your eyes, and it has to be this extra to do. Breathwork is something you can do wherever, whenever. No matter what your circumstances are, you are always breathing. I can guarantee that. It's the one constant in your life. So continue to breathe in and out through your nose and just start to become aware of your breathing. Just simply be curious. How is air flowing in and out through your nose in this moment? You might even notice that the air feels slightly cooler as it enters your nose and slightly warmer as it leaves your nose. Notice if your breathing is erratic. Notice if your breathing is quite slow. Notice what moves as you breathe. Are you feeling more movement in the upper chest or in the lower abdomen and the lower ribs? Just notice. Don't try and change anything for now, just notice. Notice if any thoughts and feelings are creeping into your mind as you notice your breathing. If they do, acknowledge them. That's okay. Breathwork is not about eliminating thoughts. It's about being able to notice the thought or feeling and then coming back to the breath, coming back to the present moment, coming back to that openness, that simpleness that is the breath. Now, your breathing might even have slowed down just a little bit since you've just become aware of your breathing. Allow that to happen. Now, I'd invite you to take a gentle breath in through your nose with me. Take a gentle breath out. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe normally. 10 seconds. So we're just doing this to calm down the autonomic nervous system, to increase blood flow, increase invigoration, and increase oxygen delivery. Also harnessing nasal nitric oxide, opening up those airways, those nasal passages. Let's do that again. Gentle breath in, gentle breath out. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe normally. Notice any shifts. Just from holding your breath for 5 seconds, do you notice any tiny shifts? Let's do that 2 more times. Gentle breath in, gentle breath out. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe normally. Last time, gentle breath in, gentle breath out. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe normally. Notice any shifts in your breathing pattern. Remembering that every emotional state has a breathing pattern. So have you been able to regulate yourself slightly if your breathing was erratic to begin with? Do you feel a little bit more receptive to the words I'm saying to you right now? Do you feel a little bit more accepting of wherever you are right now? Now, all I'd like you to do as we finish out is start to deepen your breathing, but without making your breathing any bigger. I'll tell you a little secret. A deep breath does not mean a big breath. It's a myth. So can you keep your breathing silent, soft, light? And just focus on a lateral expansion of your lower ribs as you inhale, and a natural contraction as you exhale. Gentle breath in, and a gentle breath out. Feel the ribs gently open and expand out to the side, focusing on those lower ribs, imagining actually that those ribs expand first and then air naturally flows in through your nose with no effort. Forget the breath to an extent. Exhaling and allow that natural contraction of the lower ribs to allow that air to effortlessly fall out through the nose. No need to blow it out or push it out. Allow it to leave your nose naturally. Notice how different this way of breathing is to the way that you habitually breathe, or the way you were breathing just 5 minutes ago. It might be exactly the same, or it might be slightly different. Now, why am I telling you to deepen your breathing? So by creating that lateral expansion and contraction of the lower ribs, not only do we slow the breath by deepening the breath, we're also activating that key breathing muscle, the diaphragm, but we're also creating intra-abdominal pressure that provides postural support and spinal stabilization. If your breathing is dysfunctional, if it's loud, if it's erratic, if it's shallow, if you're mouth breathing all the time, your body is likely to be unsupported. You're more susceptible to injury. And injury is not only designated for sports or to sports. Injury is possible at any time. How many people know someone who's injured themselves just stepping off a curb or reaching for a can of beans the wrong way? You know, it's always the weirdest things that you pull something. But if you're breathing properly, number one, you're much more coherent. That increased blood flow is going to the brain. But your body is also supported in your movement. So see how long you can sustain this light and deep way of breathing in and out through your nose as we go into today's little conversation with little old me. Well, not little old me, really. I mean, I'm quite little in terms of I'm quite narrow, but I'm very tall. I'm actually 5'10". Bit of an irrelevant fact for you there. I don't think anyone really cares, but see how long you can maintain this breathing pattern as you listen to my little nugget of wisdom that I've just learned from Matt today. So me and Matt were talking about, or Matt was telling me about rather, the concept of having or being when it comes to our health. And with having, there's this sense of ownership and this transactional relationship, almost this feeling that it owes you something. He even used the example of a pen. That pen is yours. You own it. And if you pick it up, you will write with it. You will do something with it. It's a doing thing. It owes you ink. You expect it to have ink in it so you can use it for what you need to do. And when you don't want that pen anymore, you dispose of it. And you could get as much fulfillment from that pen as you could from an apple or a top or a hairband. It's a thing. Now, this came up because we were talking about a lot of people's relationship to health and healthcare, and how many people, whether they go down the alternative medicine route or the traditional medical route, or a mixture of both, tend to come with a fix me attitude, with a yearning for an answer. We're even talking about sports injuries, and that most people's first question is, well, how long and how much? How long is this going to take? And we were talking as well about often how the best and most honest practitioners will always, most often, be able to let them know that they can hazard a guess. But the answer that they can truly give is, it depends. Because it does depend. If you leave that appointment and you go back into an environment which is stress-filled, and you are eating in a way that is not serving your health, or you are going against your body, there's so many things that contribute to healing, so many bodily systems, the nervous system, the endocrine system, the musculoskeletal system even. And of course, it's all interconnected. Brain and body are not separate. It's all neural, which is why I mention the nervous system and the endocrine system. That's your hormonal system that works with the nervous system. And to be honest, it really dictates every thought, feeling, craving, action that we have. It's very, 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 very important. It depends. That's something I say to a lot of my breathing clients an awful lot. They'll say, okay, cool. Well, how long will this take? I want to feel this way. So if I do this, will I feel this? How long will it take? And how much is it? And I say, it depends. That's not me trying to get someone to book a load of sessions. My goal as a coach is that as soon as possible, someone will walk away with a toolbox that empowers them to go through their own process of self-regulation and transformation. I simply hold space and teach them the exercises and the knowledge that they need to know. But of course, for a lot of people, that is a frustrating answer to hear in whatever they are asking, because they come in from a perspective of having. How do I get it? How do I get good health? What do I need to do? What do I need to buy? What contraption do I need? Do I need an Oura ring? Do I need a Whoop? Do I need this drug? What do I need? Whereas actually, really, whether you're spiritual or not, I think we all know deep down that all the answers are within ourselves. The human body is an extraordinarily intelligent being that is made for healing. We are made for self-regulation and healing. Our body is constantly trying to come back to homeostasis, to a place of health and balance, even right to the point where it will produce symptoms as a means to try and get back to homeostasis. That is the body trying to do something, to take action against itself to eliminate the problem and come back to homeostasis, which is really interesting because we often think of symptoms as a problem, the problem, whereas sometimes it's the body's sort of the body trying to fix itself, if that makes sense. So that was a little tangent, but anyway, that was the having. Then he talked about the being. Now, this is often the one that makes a lot of people quite uncomfortable. And notice, if you're still breathing in this very conscious way, in and out through the nose, light and deep, notice if any part of your body started to feel a little bit uncomfortable when I said that word being in relation to healthcare. Whatever you deem is a problem, could you be with it? could you accept it, have compassion for it, welcome it, in order to almost work with it to improve? Imagine, this just came to my mind, this analogy. Imagine a naughty student and a teacher. All right. And of course, I'm imagining the naughty student as an illness and the teacher as the body or the person. Imagine simply trying to eliminate that student. How do you think that would go? Would anyone actually get anything out of it? Maybe in the short term, the teacher would get a little bit of relief, and maybe the student would feel quite cool that they don't have a teacher on their back anymore, right? They don't have anyone bothering them. They can do whatever they want. In the short term, sure. Just like many drugs, and I'm not against medication, I am not against drugs. I'm just going to say that right now. If I was in a car crash or if I had a serious illness, I would want all the medication I can get. I think the health system, particularly in the UK and Europe, is phenomenal. I love the NHS. But I think we could be doing a lot more for ourselves. So back to the naughty student and the teacher. Of course, if it was a good teacher, they would try to work with that naughty student. They would try to gain that naughty student's trust, to inspire them and empower them that there's something better that could serve both of them and the world to a greater extent a lot more. I think the same goes for healthcare, and I'm talking on a very general level here. And of course, this was an osteopath I'm talking to who sees a range of conditions and is very interested in the breath. But it really, really got me thinking, rather than going, this is a problem and I need to fix it. What if we came into health from an angle of, I'm really curious and I want to improve my health. I have total compassion to everything I'm experiencing. And I know this will take time. Personally, especially in terms of physical injuries and mental injuries, you know what I mean? Mental health issues to a degree. And I say this with great compassion. If we could work with them in an accepting and curious way, rather than treating them like a problem, would we then eliminate hurry? And especially as in a physical injury situation, if you've got an injury that you're very frustrated about, of course, we all know in this day and age what stress does to the body. If you get stuck in an adrenalized state of fight or flight, bodily functions that are not deemed crucial to survival, so digestion, the female menstrual cycle, etc., shuts down or begins to shut down. Hence why a lot of practitioners these days are finding that the root cause of issues such as IBS, leaky gut, as stress-related, even to the extent of illnesses such as fibromyalgia, these autoimmune diseases we're seeing that are, almost taking the world by storm, it seems, the modern world, cause unknown. And many, many people are really voicing that the root cause is often stress related. Hence why I am doing this podcast, to hopefully be a vehicle to help voice the importance of self-regulation. And guys, it's so simple. We just did a self-regulation technique at the beginning of this episode. And this is why I find the breath so empowering and inspiring, because anyone can do it. It is non-discriminatory. Doesn't matter where you're from, what your circumstances are, how much money you have, what you own. I don't care. So long as you can breathe, you can do it. And I hope you're breathing. Because if you're not, then, you're an anomaly. But no, I guarantee you're breathing, for sure. You are breathing, right? No, of course. But yes, this being rather than having, and I know it sounds a bit cheesy and a bit woo-woo, but it really landed with me. It was a very simple way of looking at it. And we started talking about it in terms of relationships. Like, do you look at your partner as something that you have and you get something from? I need to get my needs met from them. But if they were to leave, I'm happy to replace something else to fulfill my needs, such as a thing. You know, I mean, that gets you thinking, doesn't it, about things like alcohol, and that's a whole nother kettle of fish and conversation though. But fully being present in the relationship, being curious, asking questions. And this is something else that came up. We said the best coaches in the world, and I've been told this so many times by incredibly high caliber Team GB coaches that train Olympians, you know, gold medalists. They say, number one, the most important thing in their training is play. How much do you love that? Having the curiosity of a child, not being too rigid, because again, what is stress do to the body? It tenses us up. It decreases oxygenation. It overstimulates the adrenal glands to the point where they're no longer able to cope. It drives us towards burnout because it's all about balance. Rest is just as important as the doing. The being is just as important as the doing. But we seem to have lost this concept in our modern world. You can hear I'm very passionate about this because this is the journey I'm currently on myself, but a journey that I feel like the rest of the world is on, especially in my generation. I'm 26. And so, you know, I find so many young people are burnout. It's a normal thing now. It's like, oh, I got burnout again. Yeah, I'll be okay though. I'll be fine. You know, do you want a coffee? It's a thing, right? And so we said, and we found, both of us, that all of our mentors, the best coaches in the world, have always been the ones that ask the most questions, the most curious. And that coach that I did a webinar with, I was the student, and he was giving an amazing talk on sports performance and mindset coaching in sports performance. And he said, if anyone tells you they have the answer, they're bullshitting you. Sorry for my language. They are BSing you. And how many times do you see on Facebook, achieve this in 2 weeks? You know, even become a yoga teacher in 3 weeks. You know, and of course you can go get a certificate in 3 weeks, but does that mean you've really embodied the millennia of teachings in yoga? Of course not. You've taken a first step on a stepping stone. So I think it depends, a very being thing to say, right? Being curious, being conscious, being honest, asking questions. And a lot of people are afraid to ask questions because they think it will make them not look superior or not look intelligent, I suppose. I mean, who knows everything? I don't know anyone that knows everything. I never want to know everything. That would be so boring, don't you think? What a boring life. You know, I hope to keep learning for the rest of my life. And maybe in 50 years, I can say I'm a master. You know? So I think, you know, you've really found a special practitioner when they'll constantly keep asking questions. And when they hold space in whatever they're dealing with you, that they hold space for you to be curious as well, rather than going, okay, this is my guaranteed fix, which, by the way, hardly exists in anything. And I'm excluding here extreme situations and emergencies. Yes, they're 100%. I'm talking about those things that do not have a direct answer. And by the way, just to shed some light on something I said earlier, I just want to really clarify that I'm not against antidepressants in any way. I think they are incredibly beneficial and necessary, a necessary part of people's journey for some people. But the being mentality rather than having, not just in healthcare, I think it's incredibly applicable. And I think it is the new mindset to healthcare we all need, especially post-COVID, right? Can we become empowered to take preventative measures, which of course are always the simplest, they're always the boring ones. By the way, only boring people get bored, remember. If you do the boring things for long enough, they become incredibly exciting. But can you be with exactly where you are right now? Because that, I think, is the true way that we will really improve our health, rather than constantly chasing things outside of ourselves that we deem necessary to fix us. And actually, we're an ongoing project. We all are. There's no end apart from the end that we all know, which is death. That got a bit deep there, didn't it? But you know what I mean. So I don't know how long this has gone on for. I'll see in a minute when I stop recording. But I really wanted to share that nugget of wisdom and just give you a thought to ponder for this week. And if you're watching, I'm sorry, the screen has gone so fuzzy because it's starting to get a little dark. Oh, guys, winter is creeping in. My goodness. Now, check in. Are you still breathing light and low through your nose? Could you sustain it through the whole episode? If you did, I'm proud of you. If you didn't, I'm proud of you for having an awareness that you didn't. Again, be with it. This is the thing as well. Last point, if you have that having mentality, there comes self-punishment, self-criticism. If you didn't get it, then suddenly you're a failure. Where if there's nothing to get, if you're just being with it and being with the process without any ultimatum, without any end result or objective in mind, other than to generally step into your full potential, including your full potential in terms of your health, both mentally, physically, neurally, spiritually, whatever, wherever you are. And there's no failure. You can't fail. Because what you even would deem as a failure, and for those listening to the audio, I'm doing inverted commas right now, just with one hand though. Okay, wait, here comes the other hand. Failure, there we go. Then if you're just being with failure and accepting it, which I'll do another episode on that. Ooh, maybe my next solo episode, okay, will be on embracing failure. I've done that a lot as well. You'll embrace failure as a stepping stone to something much bigger. And you'll be with that failure in an accepting and compassionate way. By the way, failures really don't exist. In my minimal 26 years, that's something I've really, really learned. Failure does not exist. It is opportunity. Opportunity is always built on the back of adversity. And I've learned far more from what I've labeled as a failure than what I've labeled as a success. I actually consciously now really try and, what's the word I'm looking for? Not dim, neutralize slightly my reaction or response to a big success when it comes along, because that can tip you out of balance. There's both extremes, right? And you might be like, what? Live your life, girl, celebrate, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I have the high, but I remind myself that this is just part of the journey. I'm being with it rather than clinging onto it as this thing that I've got. Because if you've got something, then there's something to lose. Whereas if you're just being with it, you're just hanging out. Cool. So yeah, that's my pondering for this week. I had to share it to you right after I had the conversation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have remembered all the points that we made. And this screen is getting super fuzzy now because it's getting dark. So I think it's time to close this one out. So let's all take a final breath together, seeing as it's just me and you. Oh, I love a little sigh. Keep your mouth closed. Do it again and just have a little gentle sigh, but with your mouth closed. So still breathing out through your nose. Pop a little smile on if you haven't already. Oh, thank you so much for listening, guys. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for hearing me out on this week's pondering. I hope it was beneficial to you. I hope it evoked some curiosity and hopefully some empowerment in terms of having a choice to think a different way. You know, there's no prescription for how we approach these things. And the answers really are inside all of you. You don't have to look, nothing to look for. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. Please do like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please do click the little bell button. I've got some awesome guests coming up, and I'm so excited to share the conversations with you. So please do click that subscribe button and the little notification bell button so that you don't miss the next episode. I'm also going to be doing a lot more guided breath work again now that I've come out of my nomad couple months of being here, there, and everywhere. I got a new job, which I'm stoked to tell you guys about. And there's just been craziness happening, which has meant I've not been in one place. And so, you know, recording went slightly out the window, but I'm so excited to bring it all back to you guys. So please do support the podcast. Please do comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please do follow me on Instagram. It's at Breathe with Georgie, a little underscore underneath every word or in between. So breathe _with _Georgie. Please DM me and let me know your thoughts on this week's episode and what you took from it. Other than that, I wish you the most wonderful week. Please keep breathing. Let's keep empowering our community with the power of the breath. You are so much more than you think you are. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and keep breathing. See you next time.